Hello, let's acknowledge bad habits. We all have them to some extent: biting nails, consuming too much sweets, or spending hours on social media. But some habits, like smoking, are much more harmful. Who first discovered the properties of tobacco when cigarettes began to be mass-produced, and who even went to prison because of smoking? Take a seat, we're starting. Smoking and everything related to it has a truly long history. The plant known as tobacco was originally only found in America. Indigenous tribes started using tobacco leaves for chewing and smoking in religious ceremonies, as well as for medicinal purposes. Gradually, the habit spread throughout America. When Christopher Columbus set foot on the new continent, smoking was already a tradition among noble Native Americans. They would begin their feasts with the distribution of flowers and smoking pipes, and they would give the leftover tobacco to their servants as a reward. The indigenous people greeted the explorer with gifts, among which were dried tobacco leaves. Due to the strong smell, Columbus threw them overboard, but soon realized that tobacco leaves were a valuable commodity. His colleague Rodrigo de Jerez decided to try them and became the first European smoker. He became so addicted to tobacco that he continued to smoke it in Spain. However, his neighbors, not being accustomed to such an exotic smell, accused him of being in league with the devil. Rodrigo was arrested by the Inquisition and imprisoned. But the fight against tobacco was already difficult. The British began mass cultivation of the plant in Brazil and supplied it to European ports. Tobacco became particularly popular in England. The country's king, James I, who initially referred to smoking as the invention of Satan, also succumbed and nationalized the lucrative tobacco industry. Thus, smoking began to spread throughout Europe. For a while, some doctors supported tobacco. For example, the physician Nicholas Menards wrote a book where he listed 36 diseases that could supposedly be cured by smoking tobacco leaves. These included various ailments, from toothache to cancer. However, most people began to notice that tobacco caused addiction. The blame for everything being due to nicotine would be discovered in a couple of centuries. Not all countries were favorable towards this harmful habit until tobacco shops started appearing on the streets of Britain. Turkey introduced the death penalty for smoking, which lasted for a whole 15 years, and the church prohibited tobacco in holy places, considering its consumption too closely related to sexual pleasures. In America, the addiction also grew and multiplied, especially during the years of the War for Independence. The revolutionaries used tobacco crops as collateral for loans they received from France. And in Virginia, the doors opened for the first American tobacco companies. Nevertheless, the primary method of consumption remained chewing tobacco, which was made by mixing molasses with leaves. But people pondered how to make the smoking process even more convenient and simple, and they came up with the idea of the paper roll-up. 10 years later, hand-rolled cigarettes began to be sold by the London-based company Philip Morris, founded by entrepreneurs. The real popularity of tobacco came after the invention of the cigarette-making machine. Its inventor, James Bonsack, created a machine that could assemble 210 cigarettes per minute, or 20,000 cigarettes in 10 hours. Enthusiasts were quick to embrace such volumes. The head of the American Tobacco Company bought 2 machines and also obtained a patent for the invention. This paved the way for cheap mass production. The number of smokers in the world grew exponentially, and smoking became a part of everyday life. World War I nurtured a new generation of young, devoted, and independent consumers. Tobacco companies sent millions of cigarette packs to soldiers on the front lines. Cigarettes were even included in soldier rations. New consumers were targeted among women, and cigarettes with filters were actively advertised to them. Surprisingly, the brand Marlboro became a pioneer in this field with the slogan "Mild as May." They even painted the filters red back then to hide our lipsticks. Within 10 years, the number of female smokers tripled. By the mid-20th century, 50% of cigarettes had filters. However, scientific research proving the link between smoking, lung cancer, and heart problems irreversibly began to undermine the tobacco industry's image. Manufacturers were required to include a health warning on cigarette labels, and due to lawsuits, advertising opportunities for companies were severely restricted. In subsequent years, products to quit smoking emerged: chewing gum, sprays, nicotine patches. These specialized products contain minimal amounts of nicotine, enough to overcome the craving for another cigarette. The image of a smoker has changed forever. With the advent of electronic cigarettes, their precursor and trendy devices were introduced by Han Likatai, a Chinese pharmacist. He deeply mourned his father's death from lung cancer and did not want to contribute to the battle against tobacco and tobacco smoke. Although the long-term consequences of vaping on health are unclear, it is considered a healthier alternative to smoking. The active war against tobacco continues. Almost all countries worldwide have implemented bans on smoking in public places, and cigarette prices have noticeably increased. Despite the heavy regulation of tobacco products, it doesn't prevent the sale of cigarettes worth billions of dollars, thereby harming people's health. After all, there are over 1 billion smokers in the modern world. Smoking is definitely a no, but ignoring its dangers would be foolish. How do you feel about such a habit? Share your thoughts in the comments, give likes, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.